Now, another thing is the Bible does not tell you anything but this. Two, male and female shall be one flesh. Sex! Know each other. That's all you need to be married. There's no other formula. I don't know. Moses does not sugarcoat it. Even if you have premarital sex, you can get married afterwards. Both ways. The Bible allows it either way. I know it does. Now, if your father were to refuse, I was just to pay your dowry. You cannot follow two laws. You cannot follow Moses and Paul. One of them is either right or one of them is being sarcastic because you won't listen to him. Moses, right? Moses allows for premarital sex, especially in this day and age, where again the female chooses the male she wants to mate with. You're mating whether you have a little piece of paper or not. When you get pregnant, that's your marriage. You've had a child together. You do not need a piece of paper or an engagement ring or anything like that to have sex or not. That's your choice. If you do have premarital sex with someone, you have the option to also get legally married or not, right? Neither way is a sin to God. It's a sin to men who want to do the same thing but make all kind of crazy rules, which really hurts their marriage sometimes rather than helps it. Then they act self-righteous about adultery again, right? Instead of, again, working on the marriage with the woman they first had sex with, pretending they can't commit adultery against the relationship either, and that means they got a divorce. See, fornication outside your marriage is the sex act. The crime in Moses' law is called adultery. But the act itself is fornication. If you're a single male, though, and a female wants sex with you and is unmarried, she can. If you're not married, both you and your partner, you're usually to live together. Now, I live alone. Now, the only way is if I'm like Solomon or David and have been with 17 women who just had sex with me but broke up with me for some reason, right? We married and had each other to husband or wife, like the 7 brothers who had the one woman to wife. 7 men had sex with the woman 7 times, at least. None of them but one married her. The rest of them, the other 6, just had sex with her, did not bother with the legal ceremony. But all 7 men had her to wife. That's what it says in your Bible. Sex is having someone to husband or wife, period. No certificate needed. Do you understand? When you commit adultery and you're legally married, though, that's fornication, though. It's fornication. Okay? Premarital sex is what you're confusing with fornication, which has to do with adultery, not a single man and a single woman having sex or not. Right? Those are 2 different things. Then you're making a little ceremony, a little piece of paper, and waiting until afterwards to just have sex, idiot. That's all you're doing. I don't care how many men lie to you, the Bible does not lie. What part of 2 saith he shall be one flesh do you not understand is the only formula God gives for marriage. Anything else, man, adds to the marriage formula. That's sex, retard. It's also conceiving a child with the woman, and it will always be that way. Oh, no. There's no other way to do it. Even if you're gay and you're having anal sex with a man, you're still having him the wife. You get it? And if you're a woman and you use your fingers all in each other and you're bumping clits, you're doing it as if you're in a male and female relationship too. You're still having sex. You're still having someone to husband or wife. Oh no. It's what we mean. God does not create shortcuts, nor does he exaggerate what marriage is. Men do. Men do. Men lie about sex and marriage. Men don't want women to enjoy sex with them. If he's a bad man, a good man wants good sex with his wife. Now, I'm not legally married to any woman except one woman, and that was Daphne Andrea Walker, who I divorced as well. Like the Old Testament says I can. I know. Because again, what is the one rule where you can divorce someone? Fornication. Fornication. Right. If Daphne has a second daughter after we divorced, we're now legally divorced because she committed fornication against our marriage. Though I did too. What do you think fornication is? Sex with another person you're not legally married to. Right. And it's the act itself, right? Now, where you get confused is you're trying to make premarital sex fornication, and it's not. Never has been, right? Once a couple have sex, they're supposed to get legally married according to the law of Moses. You understand what I'm saying there? Right. Depending on your age, of course, too. I'm a 51-year-old man. If any female in Georgia from 16 to 60, which is 10 years older like Abraham and Sarah, and the age of consent is 16 in Georgia, right? Consensual sex is as much marriage as a legal marriage is. You don't need the paperwork. Never have. So follow men or follow the simple formula in the Bible, but you're listening to your own little demon who's telling you what marriage ain't about, but what fornication is outside of marriage. Now, once I'm with the woman, I don't try to cheat on that woman either. When I was with Daphne or Maribel or whomever, I was faithful to them while the relationship was in place. Like I said, in asking Daphne, well, did I sleep with the tarot card reader? No. Just you. But did you commit fornication? Did you sleep with a first-class petty officer that was black as midnight? With a little mustache and his... That's adultery outside our marriage. That's fornication. I have a right to divorce you if you did. I don't know if that happened or not, though. I can legally divorce you if you did, though. I don't know you did that or not, though. But again, if you committed fornication yourself during our marriage, okay, with any other man but me, I know, I have grounds to divorce you, according to the law of Jesus in the New Testament. Even if you had a child after the marriage, I could divorce you, which I already had, right? I'm trying to move on from you, right? We divorced legally. Why? No. You were not treating me right towards the end, so I moved to base. No. And you left me stranded into the sea and started a crazy fight with me. No. And I moved back to base as fast as possible shortly before I met your daughter, who went to stay with Style for a week. And then I left. What more can I do? Now, you seem, again, I don't know, whoever this person is, very confused about sex and marriage because of men stepping in and playing God to other men. See, that's a false judgment, is what that is, right? That complicates marriage, whereas God simplified the formula in Eden, right? You think Adam and Eve had a little piece of paper given to them by God, or they had sex? They had sex. Right. They didn't need nothing until Satan stepped in, by the way, and tricked them into anal, too. Had both natural and obscure sex with them, by the way. According to the Gnostic belief, which Constantine lied about and couldn't handle. Nor could the Orthodox handle the truth of the kind of sex Satan introduced to mankind, but it was also the way he did it to hurt Adam. Once he hurt Adam, Adam died with Satan after Eden fell with Satan. Right. What do you think really hurt his ass? Satan's dick. Excuse my French there, YouTube, but we gotta get a little graphic with these little children who do not understand the nature of raping someone into something and love. Either. You don't know what consensual sex means, nor sex before you get legally married or after, and what it means. Either way. But the only formula from Genesis to the New Testament that's given for marriage is simple. Two shall be one flesh, the male and his female, and then they're married and supposed to live together. Now, if you leave me, I gotta what? Let you go. If you stay with me, I will let you stay with me, right? Yes. That's what I mean, too. If Mary Bell, for example, just kept having sex with me, she's still having me the husband, whereas I'm having her the wife, and we're the only two at that point having sex. Same with anyone I'm with after her, too. We're having sex, whether I got them pregnant or not. That's to wife. Right. Or to a husband, someone, right? Now, conception or having a child is also becoming one flesh to the point of having a child, right? In your marriage, right? The legal ceremony only does one thing. For men, you do that. Not for God. To show a legal support of the government you're in and what they determine is a marriage ceremony. Right? A ceremony, though, is not what you get married to do or not. It's to have sex after the ceremony, idiot. Otherwise, your marriages are in vain. If you don't have sex, what's the point of getting married or not? And all premarital sex means is you're going to do it after the marriage. You get married with the sex. But the sex is the sign of your marriage. Nothing else. Nothing else matters. Anything else is man lying to you about what sex is or isn't too, right? It is your marriage. You don't have to get legally married if you're faithful to each other. Either. But if you're unfaithful, like the women in my life, again, you can also equally divorce each other without no hoo-ha. You ain't got to do a divorce decree or anything like that, like Moses said. Though I did both with Daphne. I wrote her a bill of divorcement as the law of Moses said, and I legally divorced her in the courts of America, which allows you to both marry and divorce. Right? But the simplest thing, like Gwyneth Paltrow says, is she uncoupled with Chris Martin. Right? And they are no longer in a sexual relationship, therefore they are no longer married. Now, if she starts having sex with another man and he starts having sex with another woman, that confirms they're divorced. Right? For example. But coupling or coitus has always been the sign of any marriage. Sex. If you do not have sex, you can also annul a marriage, right? Means it never happened. By the way. You have to get a divorce if you just have sex. Too, not an annulment. Even if you don't have a child, right? Just for having sex, though, you can't get an annulment. Only if you, again, don't. Which was the point of getting married if you're not going to have sex. You all confused. But that's what I mean. Sheena cannot cry rape 2 weeks later. either. It's too late. I caught you in the field and enticed you into oral sex, but had sex with you because I didn't know you were opposed to it at the time, for example, right? But you're not reading it. You're listening to men who also aren't reading it. You're not applying it to what it actually says. I know. You're privately interpreting it your own way with Satan's help. Trust me. It's Satan lying to you that sex ain't marriage in the first place, when it is. Always has been, right? Anything else is a waste of your time if you don't have sex with your husband or wife, depending on your gender. Even if you're gay and you're two men or you're two women, you're trying to what? Have sex with your partner. That's what marriage is all about, idiots. So who am I talking to? Everyone who don't understand sex is marriage. Sex is marriage. If you do it before or after the legal ceremony, it don't change it either. If you do it before you are married and had each other, the husband or wife, and again, if you do it after you get legally married, either way, you're legally married. You're legally married. There is no, though, formula that says you gotta do this, this, and this, or you're not married. Either. That's what the Bible says about it, if you actually read it. Why do you think David and Solomon had 300 wives, or 17 wives, to begin with? Oh, no. They had sex with them all. Solomon also had the 700 concubines of his wives. Woo, busy man. But all of them were his wives, as far as the Bible's concerned about what marriage is. Now, the problem is, like with Song of Solomon, he has to please all 1,000 women. That's a busy man. Because he got to give them all sex so often in the Torah, in the law, in the prophets. I know. And even the writings and the minor prophets and the Psalms and the are all about one thing: love and marriage. It can be simple as just you and me. If you're my woman, you're my woman. But if you're not, I'm waiting for you. Right? I changed it there. I'm playing. But that's the point. Now, why do you think during the 70s they're practicing free marriage or free love or premarital sex, right? I don't know. They're not self-righteous like you. They know the ceremony doesn't change the commitment to the woman if you have sex with her and get her pregnant. Now, all the problem with free love is you can also be with more than one woman. Like Solomon or David, for example, right? This is where the Mormons come in about marrying more than one woman, though they are getting cultish about it, because you do have to follow the age of consent laws in your local state or parish, right? Or the government you're under. Peter never told you can't not follow the laws of your state or government, right? By the way, this is where the age of consent comes in, which is 16 and older in Georgia. Now, these are all our laws, too, that I learned growing up. I know what an annulment means. You never had sex after you got married. I know what a divorce means. You had sex but no children, right? I know what divorce and paying child support payments means, right? And again, I know Mary Bell could have gotten pregnant by me too, like Daphne. And legally, if the child is mine, I have a claim to her. As my ex-girlfriend who got pregnant by me but married the wrong man, Scott. That's what that means. Even if she miscarried your child, which does give you a partial claim. But unlike David and Bathsheba, and the mystery of how his one child died of all the women he lived, by the way, which is kind of odd, that one of his children died would suggest something more happened to meets the eye anyway. I don't know. Like an abortion somehow to use one of the formulas to find out if the child is yours or not. If your wife was adulterous with her own husband, I guess. But when you play, you pay, right? David wasn't sure if this was his son or Uriah, so he did a little test about putting the tabernacle in the dust into the water and having his wife drink it for 7 days, right? That's what I figured. And the child died because the woman has to nurse it. You're putting sand in the belly of a child, and it died of internal bleeding. I know it did. Yep. It's the only thing I can think of they could have done in the law of Moses, right? To make sure Uriah didn't get a pregnant first. Because, again, they're going to battle. David did not. He's getting older. He's feeling his age. He's going through a midlife crisis, as we would call it today. So he looks out, and there's this woman, the only woman, by the way, he sees in all of Israel, bathing naked where he can see her. And don't think she did not see him either. But let's look at the most famous case of adultery in the Bible. David's home. Right. And how weird that shit is. The one child he had with Bathsheba died. The other ones were fine. So something had to be going on this in the law of Moses, but they didn't tell you and write it out. So either. Only thing I can see is if he tried to get her to drink the dust from the tabernacle in water, in glass, of course, right? Or whatever they had back then. A cistern, a pottery cup, or whatever. And you drink that for 7 days, right? No, you drink it for 1 day to see if she gets you. But I bet David's dumbass made her drink it all 7 days and the child died. Because it got into her milk. The dust from the tabernacle is basically sand, idiot. I know. Right. I know. But if you put sand and water in the mother, drinks it, and the sand goes into her child when she's nursing, it'll tear up its stomach and rip it from within. I don't know. And he'll die of internal bleeding in the stomach. I don't know. Medically explained. And that's why the child died 7 days after it was born before it was circumcised. David wasn't sure it was his and did the test in the Bible to make sure it wasn't Uriah's, right? And then Solomon and Nathan and the rest of them are his, right? He knows they're his, right? You didn't do nothing to them. But then Amnon and Absalom and Tamar got involved with it when Amnon fell in love with his half sister, tried to rape her, and all this shit. Are you reading the Bible or just browsing through it like it's entertainment? Right. Right. It's telling you the shit what's going on. Dysfunctional shit like in our families today, you know? Whole point and the whole problem with everybody is you don't know how dysfunctional you are because you're reading the Bible every day and you're not understanding what you're reading. So Satan is enacting it out in your life. Yes, he is. He's confusing us all about one thing. When does sex make a marriage or not? Before or after you do it? It's both. It's both. You could do it before a legal ceremony by your government or after. Right. As long as you tell the woman, I'm trying to marry you, like I did with Sheena. And Maribel and Daphne, I am trying to marry you legally. But you can also refuse it, but we're still having each other as husband and wife until we break up. Then we're no longer in the sexual relationship unless I got you pregnant. But there again, you can still stay away, and I'm trying to find a new girlfriend. Whether she has sex with me or not, that's her option. The same as yours. Right. The difference is I'm not going to force her to stay with me any more than I did you. I'll let you go when you wanted to go back to Stephen and your mom and Miles and all that, and you came back when you wanted to. Because sex is marriage. See, what you're confusing is the crazy Catholics who don't understand the simplicity of marriage and want to complicate the law. Which is two shall be one flesh. That's why when King Longshanks, back in the time of Braveheart, William Wallace, well, he was trying to have first dibs. Right? The reason for that was to knock up the Scottish children, the Scottish women with English babies. Right? And see, they didn't know a lot about menstruation or when the woman even got pregnant, right? So they were trying to get first dibs. Now, would you want your wife to be done that way? Or like William Wallace, would you marry her in secret? That's what I mean, too. Premarital sex is marriage before the marriage ceremony. Though, he still got a father, a guy in the church to marry them, though, right? Right. But they did it in secret. That's what I mean. That's what you mean. Right. Now, here's the thing. Even if I do a ceremony with you, though, and you're not going to stay with me, you have sex with me, you're my one-night stand wife again, right? Now, if you stay with me, you want to help me, that's up to you, too. But if you don't, I'll have to let you go, just like Solomon had so many wives, but he didn't have sex with all of them all the time either. So what you gonna do in the spare time? Nothing, lay around all day. But then there's your favorite. Who do you think the Song of Solomon is about? His favorite wife. His favorite wife. Now, one is white, one is black. By the way, too. Why do you think, again, I'm going after either white chicks, Asian chicks, or African chicks? Notice I didn't say black. I always said black chicks, right? Right. Because we're all related, even though there's dominant and recessive genes in the gene pool, right? So you all have a dominant and recessive gene you're carrying that you don't know about. Like today on Maury, an African couple had a child with blonde hair. Well, that's because one of them or both of them have a recessive blonde hair gene. Unless they dyed the hair blonde, which is possible either, but whatever. I don't know. I don't know. But again, that means both partners, the male and his female, when they had sex to conceive the child, one had yellow hair and the other had yellow hair. So the child had yellow hair when he or she was born. Now, when you're doing premarital sex, though, right, here's another problem. If you live together and you argue about it either way, like the Weeknd's pointing out, we don't need to get married to be married. But you got upset about it. Don't you, ladies? Though it's not like I said, I'm not willing to marry you, you're just not setting a date. Sometimes that's the male's problem either. Or as well, the female sets the date of the marriage, not the male. She does all the wedding planning. You ever seen the Wedding Crushers or the Father of the Bride or even what the one with Anne Hathaway and Kate? What's her name? Hudson. I think, yes. Where they had a wedding on the same day, and at the same place they wanted to have their wedding, and that turned into a cat fight, right? But the reason is the women are planning the wedding too, right? That's the point. Anyone can plan the wedding, but it's usually the woman, right, who plans the wedding and sets the date for the wedding, not the man. That's what I mean too. Now, the thing about laws is they also change, right? Okay? That's why consensual sex is as much marriage as if you do it after you're married. But again, you don't have to come back to me. If you want it once, that's fine. But understand what we're doing is having each other the husband or wife. Whether a child is involved or not. Sex can lead to children, which usually leads to marriage. What's the old phrase? First comes love, then comes marriage. Well, then comes shame with a baby carriage. Nope. If you have sex before the marriage, you can have the baby carriage before the marriage, right? Too. That's what I mean. This is men doing what Jesus warned them about in his day. Now, in the law of Moses, you were to honor your father and mother as they got older, which means you took care of them as they took care of you when you were a child. Because they become more decrepit, right? Less able to do things. And you're supposed to take care of them. Now we just put them in a nursing home or whatever, right? Because you're supposed to take care of your mother and your